Tonight, a push for change into the state's statute of limitations following a WRTV investigation into an Indiana teacher accused of misconduct with students. Former North Central teacher Nathan Schule's state license is now revoked. State lawmakers, advocacy groups, and former students of Schule's say the state of Indiana needs to do more to get the truth and hold institutions accountable. WRTV Investigates Kara Kenny explains why some say the law needs to change. We do want to warn you, some viewers may find this story disturbing.
Two newly filed tort claim notices against Washington Township schools allege the district failed to address complaints of misconduct of former teacher and theater director Nathan Schule between 2016 and 2020. Both claims allege mental and physical abuse, and one claim alleges sexual abuse. That student, identified as Jane Doe, claimed in her tort claim notice while preparing for a performance from the musical Rent, Schule required Jane Doe and another girl to remain late after school to practice becoming comfortable with sexuality by repeatedly touching each other's breasts while he watched. Complaints about Schule date back a decade and more than 100 miles away. In 2008, Ashley Nation was a student at Silver Creek High School in Sellersburg, Indiana, when she met Schule.
It started simple, as in like put his hand on my shoulder or the small of my back. And then it turned into him, coming up and commenting and say, hey, I just want to let you know your ass looks really great in those pants today. And it just slowly, became more.
Ashley says Schule touched her inappropriately. She's victim one in the Department of Education's complaint against Schule filed last year, which led to the revocation of his teaching license.
When he would come up and he would, grab my butt or make comments.
Ashley says once she turned 18, she agreed to a sexual relationship with him. Ashley did not report Schule's conduct at Silver Creek until 2020, when she learned he was teaching at North Central High School in Indianapolis.
And I initially did meet with Sellersburg Police, and I sat down with a detective and told them everything that had happened, that pretty much there was nothing they could do for me.
That's because Indiana's criminal statute of limitations had passed.
Vast majority of them, for most crimes, it's 5 years.
Attorney Shaughnessy Terrell is a former Marion County prosecutor. She explains it's rare for childhood survivors of sexual abuse to get justice in criminal court beyond 5 years, unless there's a confession or DNA is discovered.
Ethically, the prosecutor can't file a case and go forward if they don't think that they can do it.
Terrell now files civil lawsuits for childhood survivors of sexual abuse, but the statute of limitations in Indiana is age 25.
It's so beyond frustrating because it happens on at least a weekly basis that we get someone who calls and, it's like they finally are ready and they're like coming up for air and they're ready to do it, and I can't help them.
Terrell says a civil lawsuit against a school district or another institution can prompt policy and protocol changes.
The real way to affect change when it comes to some of these corporations and other entities is to go after their pocketbook. It's pretty appalling, but it's unfortunately the hard truth.
Child USA is a national think tank studying statute of limitations and its impact on child sex abuse victims.
The average age of coming forward is age 52.
Professor Marcy Hamilton says civil lawsuits are essential for holding institutions accountable and bringing the truth to light.
The records have to be released. We only know about the Boy Scouts perversion files because of this kind of litigation.
Senator Aaron Freeman filed Senate Bill 135 this session that would remove the statute of limitations for survivors to file a civil lawsuit against the perpetrator, school, or any institution. But for the third year in a row, it did not get a hearing.
I just think we need to give them an avenue. We need to give them some way to bring that grievance forward. I think it helps the healing process, and then you want to hold somebody accountable. I mean, if we have people out there that are sexually abusing children, we need to know that, and those people need to be held accountable.
Child USA says nationally, opponents of similar legislation include the insurance industry and Catholic Conference. Nationally, critics say removing the statute of limitations could result in a cascade of frivolous lawsuits with little evidence.
I think that's what we trust judges and juries for. I think that's what we would trust the legal system for.
We checked with the Indiana Catholic Conference, and they told us they have not lobbied against Senate Bill 135. The Insurance Institute of Indiana has not responded. responded to us. Senator Liz Brown, who chairs the Judiciary Committee, declined to speak with WRTV about why the bill did not get a hearing. Ashley Nation is now 29 years old. She can't file a tort claim notice like the former North Central students. She's out of options because the statute of limitations has passed, both criminally and civilly. But she hopes legislation will give more power to other survivors.
What do you think about the fact that a senator is trying to remove the statute of limitations for people like you?
It gives me hope. My hope with this bill, and if people get to hear my story, they understand that, schools, they need to do their due diligence.
Silver Creek is now under a new school corporation. The district says they take any allegations of teacher misconduct seriously. North Central fired Nathan Schul in May 2020 for making false statements on his application. They also notified the Indiana Department of Education, which filed a formal complaint in November. Nathan Schul's teaching license is now revoked for the next 3 years. He declined to comment to WRTV. Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
When asked about the tort claim notices, Washington Township Schools told us, quote, "We regret that these egregious claims were not brought to our attention sooner. However, the suggestion that the district and North Central principal Bryant Brannigan in particular knew these details during Schul's employment is false." The district did receive a small number of complaints regarding instances where Schul's harsh tone or unsympathetic style emotionally impacted students, and the district addressed these concerns swiftly. The district also said new reports regarding Schul's sexual comments directed at female students were never relayed to the district. You can read the entire statement in this story on the WRTV app and at WRTV.com, as well as our full investigation on this issue.